Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Talking Heads' 1985 album, Little Creatures. It's really good, a bit of a new sound for them, and I like it. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks added to my playlist, 6 out of 9, so 2/3 here. This album is definitely good. They move more into pop sounds here, but it's still pretty rooted in new wave stuff. It's pretty different from their previous album. It's still new wavy pop, but just a much different version of it. More kind of late 80s, bit of alternative and rock sounds, and much less synth. It works pretty well here, and they manage some very interesting songs on both sides. I think side 2 is slightly better than side 1, but it's balanced pretty well between the two sides. Side 1 is a good opener and pretty good closer, while side 2 is kind of more solid through and through. The flow is pretty good. The album starts off with a more friendly sounding pop rock tune and then moves into more experimental stuff before returning to that same style for the last two tracks. That last one, Perfect World, is a good ending for kind of the halfway point of the album. Sounds like a weird mashup of Blondie with Talking Heads, wackiness. Side 2 starts off with a wackier track, then moves into more rock-oriented Television Man, which has a very cool instrumental breakdown halfway through the track, which I like. Road to Nowhere is a great final track. It combines pop, new wave, and rock elements into a very cool kind of alternative track that's still very clearly Talking Heads. So overall, I would say the album is really good, yeah. There were 2 singles released before the album. Fourth track, The Lady Don't Mind, as well as that last one, Road to Nowhere, which may have been on the radio at the time, but it didn't have as much longevity as some of their other earlier hits. My favorite track here is probably that opening, And She Was. It's the most traditional in its style, and I like that here. Talking Heads hasn't really ever gone to that sphere, so very interesting to hear them do something that's more normal, I guess. But Television Man was also good, kind of in that same area. I ranked this album second out of the 6 Talking Heads albums I've heard so far, above their 1979 album Fear of Music, but below their 1983 album Speaking in Tongues, the one right before this. This album is definitely a sequel to Speaking in Tongues, but it's not quite as good as it, mostly due to a lack of consistency in the sound. And while most of the songs here are good, they aren't as knock your socks off as Speaking in Tongues' hits. I was pretty conflicted on whether to put this one above Fear of Music or not. I did really enjoy this one and thought it came together well. In the end, I think I prefer the quality on Little Creatures better, and I like the style more. It's more of my preferred flavor of new wave, so that one goes above Fear of Music. And it's probably better than Remain in Light and definitely better than their first 2 albums. Additionally, this album takes my top spot from 1985, taking it from INXS's Listen Like Thieves. This one was close, but I really don't think Listen Like Thieves is quite as interesting as Little Creatures. Plus, the quality and experience is clearly in Talking Heads' favor here, so I gave it to them, even though it's pretty close. It might be a toss-up if you like INXS better. Next up is Billy Joel's 1986 album, The Bridge. It's good, but not one of my favorites of his, although I do own it in physical CD form. It's one of the ones I own. Definitely not one of his best, but still pretty good. So stay tuned for that. And as always, stay minty.